So I have about 15 minutes or less, and I'd like you to come up here and please ask a question to Tracy, because I know she wants to answer it.
Can't
Who
wait.
do we have? Come on up.
It's David Letterman. David, oh my God.
Say your name.
I get to sit and everything. Fun. Hi, Tracy. Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Thanks. For,
sure. Thanks. I'm glad you
pleasure.
could make it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I
This is
love your
great.
set and your show. It's terrific.
Oh, we brought this in just for you.
You, when my agent called, I was like, oh my God, you serious? I'm so happy.
Perfect. So,
She's a natural.
I'm really interested in having had the experience that you've had coming from Texas. Did I hear you say Houston?
Houston. Yes, ma'am.
Um,
I can do it for you if y'all want. Hold that mic a little closer
Okay.
to your mouth there, and we can hear you better.
Alrighty. So now, having had the experience in the life that you've had so far, what is the one thing that you would love to have as like the tagline of encouragement for those that are coming up, that are here today, as well as anyone who's looking to change anything in their life, or just something of encouragement?
So you're in advertising,
No.
basically.
No,
Because
no.
the tagline.
No.
Gosh. I don't want to be cliche, but go for it is cliche, but if find your passion is cliche, but I don't know. Can somebody think of something that's along those lines that don't lie to yourself? I think that goes the other way, but there are people that I was talking to you about. My stepfather, not my current stepfather, who I consider my father, but my mother's second husband did this tremendous job and made boatloads of money for many, many years. And I asked him when I was a teenager, I said, God, you must just love what you do. And he looked at me and he said, I hate going into the office every single day of my life. And I thought to myself as a teenager, I was like, good God, what a horrible, that's horrible. And I don't know what I would say to him, but turn it around, find your passion, dig your, I don't know. Can you think of something?
No, I was on the same page. As I'm listening to you share about your experiences, I was wondering, how could you sum it all up? Like you said, everything seems cliche, whether it's find your passion, don't give up, give it a shot. But the one thing is, I always just think, be open. Just be open
That's
to
a good
living
one.
life.
Yes.
And like you said, I mean, my goal is to get to be like 85 years old, look back and say, hell, what a ride.
Yes, exactly.
And like be able to appreciate it
Right.
a second time.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely on that page.
And we were talking about how some of us aren't sleeping or whatever, and I'll wake up in the morning. But one of the things about waking up at 2 a.m. is I don't wake up at 2 a.m. because I have allergies or anything. I wake up because I'm working on this play, and I go, oh God, this is what Ellie would say. Ellie would not enter the living room that way. Ellie would absolutely not even be in the living room at that moment. I got to go write this down on my iPad right now, because if I don't do it right, now I'm like Seinfeld. What am I, Jerry Seinfeld? I swear, and it's like, I got to write this down right now, because if I don't, I know I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm not going to remember this, but I have to do this now, and you know what? I do, and guess what? I look at the notes the next day, and guess what? I was right. Ellie should not have entered the living room at that moment. And that's what happens to me at 2 a.m. And that's the kind of passion I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
The one that when
I don't want to
wake at midnight,
Right.
all of a sudden you're writing or you're doing whatever it is that
Exactly.
you love, and you realize the sun's just come up and you're energized.
Exactly. Because the passion is there. Right. Live your passion. No, we got a tagline here for Nike somewhere. I don't know.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy.
the swoop is, thank you. The swoop is kind of old.
I just wanted to ask if you had been confronted with any sexism at any point in your life and how you dealt with that. Is the guy still living, actually?
No, he's not. He was one of the bodies I found on Law and Order. It was a lot of blood, but no.
I figured as much.
You know, interestingly, for me, I guess I don't put up with it, or the only time I've encountered that was when I had an actor friend of mine who was in a play with me who didn't like the fact that the reason why I wouldn't go out with him was not because I didn't like him, but because I was actually had a female partner, and that was a bad experience. It was a little bit of a stalking experience, but sexism happens all the time. One of the things as the chair of the LGBT committee for the Screen Actors Guild SAG-AFTRA now is we're trying to kind of focus on diversity and how sexism comes into play all the time, whether it has to do with being sexist about the femalism of you or your sexual preference. I've recognized that most of the roles that I've played in my life, in fact, 99.99% of them, in fact, I have been rejected for gay roles because they didn't think I was gay enough, which is funny as hell. But seriously, no, I'm serious. But but then I have encountered times when a producer or somebody will find that out, and they'll kind of, so that's a sexism in that regard. So yeah, I have experienced that.
And can you offer any advice for those of us who can't get past the secretary or
Oh, well, like we spoke of, yeah, earlier. We had that discussion. She's a writer, and go ahead.
Yeah, well, I have two email addresses, one from a female and one from a male. And usually the one from the male gets through. I get a response.
She'll
They
send the
don't know.
same email and get the response from the one that's the male-oriented email address. Go figure, man. I don't know. We got to teach our boys and girls. Teach our boys and girls so that the next generation hopefully won't be. And I think that's happening to a certain degree, but it's still out there. And
I think it's getting worse since we've been a war culture for 12 years.
yeah. Gosh, I'll tell you what, my boys aren't going to be like that. Certainly. But yeah, I would agree. I don't know what to say about that. Suggestions? You, sir.
Another question? Or
So I want you guys to think about that. You know, you may not have an answer here tonight, but you're going to have an answer. You probably know what's the right thing to say. You don't want to say it. It's okay. So
I feel like Dark Shadows now. They're going to
I
zoom in on
love Dark Shadows. Can I tell you this?
Oh, I know. It's kind of sexy and hot. Dark Shadows was a hot show. And I was a little one. I was little bitty. I got to tell you. And I used to turn and I was like, oh my God.
I used to hide every night behind one of the living room chairs. I was supposed to be asleep, but the music used to scare the living daylights out of me. And my imagination was greater. So I couldn't stand to be alone in my bed. So I would creep out and hide behind a chair because I figured if I saw it, it'd be less of a scare to me than what I imagined.
So that was your first encounter with fear.
Yes.
So let's, yeah.
Yes.
Go back
And you know, many times what we imagine is so much less when it comes to fear than what really is. We are greater, right? We are super women and supermen. We are greater than the sum of our parts. And because of that greatness, we scare the living daylights out of ourselves. We have to remember that. What we imagine and what we think about, we must not always believe. And with that, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm with you. It's a wrap.
it's a wrap.